Super. I say hello to all the people who have joined us tonight. I'm still worried about Murray Rose Little, who's joining and joining and joining and can't quite get in. Ah, there. Good.
Stove as well as an electric dryer to set. In the end, what did that?
Uh, let's ask everyone to turn their mute on or turn their sound off.
So this is like our 33rd or more, 34th monthly webinar. I'm your host for most of those, and I welcome you all. I'm going to put things in chat, and so I'm going to put into chat an index of topics of our 33 webinars, the recordings and slides. So you have access to them before. Oh, Mary Rose Little actually now.
I admitted the second Mary Rose Little.
Oh, good. Super. So, and then tonight's recording and slides are going to be emailed to, in a couple of days, to the 90 or so who registered. I wanted to put a plug in, a big plug actually, before we start. New Jersey currently has 8 electrification coaches. They're graduates of the Rewiring America program. You'll see, well, I guess you can't identify them, but many of the people here are in attendance. And more New Jersey trainees will likely graduate this fall. And so during the next 2 months, we electrification coaches are going to ramp up our publicity. And so tonight I have an offer I would like to extend to the attendees. I'm looking for 1 or 2 volunteers to be featured in our next electrification webinar, which will be 7 p.m. on October 17th. And what we offer is that from now until then, the electrification coaches will work with 1 or 2 of those people over the next month to understand and provide options of how you would like to modernize and electrify your house. And I'll have more about this toward the end. But tonight's program is all about electrification. And Pat will talk about, the last, how many years is it, Pat? Decade, maybe. You'll talk more about that.
Yeah, several years.
Yeah, multi-year personal migration to upgrade our home to a fossil fuel-free future. And we are getting mighty close, as you're going to hear. Pat and I are both long-term environmentalists, but we really got a boost from former Vice President Al Gore's training in Denver in early 2017. And Pat was one of the big activists who helped organize a regional rally on our push for clean energy. This is a few years ago. It involved several hundred attendees and a half dozen dignitaries, including our mayor. We did invite Governor Murphy, who is a resident of our town, but unfortunately he had conflicts. So he sent instead his personal letter, which Pat read everyone. She's a Middletown Green Team member, an electrification coach, active in Sierra Club Building Electrification Affairs. She testifies and provides written testimony at various hearings for various things like legislation, BPU proceedings, the next 3 years of plans by New Jersey Gas and Electric Utilities, and so on. So she's pretty busy. So with that introduction, I'm going to turn the baton to Pat.
Okay. I should share my screen. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, I am Pat Miller, and I think most of you already know both Steve and me if you've attended any of these monthly building electrification webinars over the last 3 years. Tonight, as you may have guessed, we're switching places. I'm going to give the presentation, and Steve will handle the Q&A. I'm going to go through an example of our own home and how we have progressed with our transition to an all-electric home. Our latest venture is to become electrification coaches through training from Rewiring America, which has given both of us more expertise to help homeowners throughout New Jersey to make the switch to electrification. I'm going to go through the steps that we have completed in our own electrification journey, as Steve said, over a decade or so, plus that of our daughter's house, and then walk you through Rewiring America's electrification planning tools with our home as an example. This will help us complete our electrification steps and hopefully show you how to apply the planning to your own home. All right. Okay, there, I found the button. Okay. We focus on home electrification, but for context, that includes 3 separate but related categories. According to New Jersey official statistics, the majority of emissions in New Jersey come from 3 sources: electricity generation, transportation, and buildings. So in our plan, we tackle each of these. We'll talk about the first 2, clean electricity and transportation first. Then the other household electrification projects in the order they happened. First, early on with electric cooking, then a pool heater, then wiring and weatherization in 2019, heat pump and heat pump water heater in 2022, and finally the heat pump dryer in 2024. So I'll go through each one of these. First, the clean electricity. Rooftop solar is the best and most cost-effective choice for most people, but it's not practical for us in our totally forested yard. This is a Google Earth picture of our house. For years, we got our 100% clean electricity through a third-party supplier for wind from Texas. Now we have a better local choice in the new New Jersey Community Solar Program. Here, a developer builds a large commercial solar field and sells shares of the electricity to subscribers. Currently, there's a 20% discount below the utility cost or more for low-income households. Our solar project is on a warehouse roof 5 miles from our home. The link or QR code is in the sign up, and I hope Steve is putting these links in the chat. He will if he hasn't already. The next step we took personally was to electrify our transportation with a plug-in hybrid EV that was comparable in price to a regular hybrid, about $30,000 in 2018. And we also got a $3,500 federal tax credit at the time. This was well before the IRA. Our car is a Prius Prime plug-in, which we charge in a regular household outlet with our clean electricity. It goes 30 miles on a charge before switching automatically to the Prius hybrid engine. Our second car, which we rarely drive anymore, is a Toyota Camry hybrid sedan. We planned for our next car to be full electric. Today, the IRA gives a tax credit of up to $7,500 for new full EVs or $4,000 for used ones. The law is, as written, is in effect till 2032, and it only applies to full EVs, not plug-in hybrids like this one. This is a chart Steve created to compare our emissions the emissions for our various cars compared to the average combustion engine car. That average, which is the bottom bar, is about 10,000 pounds of CO2 per year. Even the hybrid Camry right above it gives a substantial savings. But the plug-in Prius brings emissions down much closer to zero. We drive the Prius primarily around town, so the hybrid engine kicks in only on longer trips. The Tesla, which is second from the top, is our daughter's recent acquisition, which I will show you later. At first, our daughter and her husband were doing a lot of charging at public chargers on the New Jersey grid, which is half dirty. But now they have installed a level 2 charger, which is 240 volts, in their garage with community solar. So they're refilling the car or charging the car with clean electricity now. So the Tesla's emissions now are closer to our future dream car, which is the top row. So we've addressed clean electricity and transportation. Next up is appliances in our home. The first non-gas major appliance we acquired was kind of accidental. We were doing a partial renovation of our kitchen in 2011, just after we had moved back to Middletown from our beach house in Long Beach Island. I bought a new gas stove for that renovation, which I now regret. However, in LBI, we had an electric stove with a smooth ceramic cooktop, and I loved how easy it was to clean compared to any stove with burners. So in our new kitchen, we also installed the electric cooktop on the large island across from the gas stove. In the picture, you can see both of them. The ceramic cooktop is in the front, as well as the electric microwave and the toaster oven. And we also, of course, have a coffee maker and a few other little electric appliances. Since then, we've started using the electric cooking appliances exclusively. We even taped up the gas burner switches, and you can see there's Scotch tape around the burners so that I wouldn't lean against them and turn them on accidentally. We occasionally use the gas oven, but only when baking something bigger than a frozen pizza, which we cook in the toaster oven. Someday we'll disconnect the gas entirely from our house, at which point we need to do something about replacing that stove with an induction stove. So that's part of our plan. This is the tiny all-electric kitchen we had at the beach. The electric stove is far right. With its smooth cooktop. The picture's kind of fuzzy, I know. This was the realtor's picture, one of the pictures of our house when we sold it. The whole house was all electric, so you can see the electric resistance baseboard heater on the far wall under the window. We had wall-mounted air conditioners, and of course, if we had the house now, we would install heat pumps. We didn't really get serious about switching off gas until we were trained as climate reality leaders in 2017. Then we learned about heat pumps and how much more efficient and non-emitting electric appliances are than fossil-fueled ones. And of course, you know, the heat pumps can be reversed and almost always are to both heat and cool. Ironically, though, the first heat pump we installed wasn't for our home airspace. It was an air-to-water pool heat pump. We'd had a gas pool heater for decades, and being outside in the weather, it had failed and been repaired several times. This time, when Steve said he would repair it, I told him it must be very inefficient. It's so old. Let's replace it with an electric one. This was 2019. He went shopping in local pool supply stores and found that it wasn't something that was stocked locally. So he shopped wholesalers on the internet. The one he found, a Hayward, was in Florida. Of course, everyone in Florida has heat pumps, and many have pools. If the air temperature there is year-round 80 degrees, which it pretty much is, it takes practically no electricity. Steve said practically, because it does take electricity, but practically very little to heat or cool to a comfortable temperature with a heat pump from 80 degrees. They shipped the heater directly to us, and Steve installed it. Of course, the air in New Jersey is a lot cooler than Florida, but we only use the pool for about 2.5 months in the summer. And this thing is so much more efficient than burning gas. Plus, extracting heat from New Jersey's 70-degree air to heat water to maybe 85 degrees is so much easier a lift than, say, heating the air inside a home to room temperature from cold winter temperatures outside. The difference between the outside temperature and the output or inside temperature is a big determinant of how efficient it's going to be and how much it's going to cost, how much electricity it's going to use. The pool heat pump is very economical. This chart shows that we're saving more than half of what our old inefficient gas heater costs. That's the line in the middle. We figure the gas pool heater was probably 65% efficient, if that. So, we're, according to this, we're saving $500, which is quite a bit. Since the pool heater is about 10 feet from the house, this was the occasion for us to have the electrical work done to plan for future electric appliances. The IRA would cover some of this electrical work now, but of course we didn't have the IRA in 2019. So we paid about $3,000 for the pool heater and hired an electrician for another $3,000 to expand our circuit box and run wiring to the pool heater. We put in a second circuit box, which is the one on the left. We have 200 amp service, which will cover all our future needs. And our future needs are now just those 3 items listed on the right. But we didn't have room in the panel for the extra circuits. So we had a second panel installed. Around the same time, Sustainable Jersey and the utilities started advertising and running promotions for home energy audits and energy efficiency measures like insulation, sealing air leaks, switch to LED lighting, and smart thermostats. We were planning on getting a heat pump space heater whenever we needed a replacement, but not until then. It made sense to weatherize first and have that done. Then a new electric heat pump system could be properly sized to our more efficient home when we needed it. Plus, we could start right away to save money by using less energy. Steve, ever the do-it-yourselfer, took the free audit and the Nest thermostat, of course, and did the upgrades himself. Here is an insulated zippered cover for the attic stairs on the left and extra insulation in the attic on the right. And these are his supplies for air sealing ducts around windows and doors and anywhere else there are air gaps to the outside. We had a plan to start immediately to switch household appliances to electric whenever they needed to be replaced. And we knew it would take several years, which is fine. If you stage it over the next 8 years while the IRA is in effect, the tax credit caps reset every year. Plus, this January 1st, 2025, the utilities Triennium 2 will go into effect, And we expect there to be much more generous rebates from the state and the utilities and discounts for decarbonization. We don't know what these are yet because they haven't all been approved, but we should be hearing the actual amounts by mid-October. And they go into effect on January 1st, as I said. The most important and carbon-intensive appliance to replace is the gas or oil furnace. When it or an air conditioner needs to be replaced, we plan to switch to an electric heat pump for both heating and cooling. In mid-2021, one of our 2 air conditioners stopped working. We decided this was the opportunity to install a heat pump to replace the air conditioner. We bought a Rheem model that could connect to our existing Rheem gas furnace for air circulation through our existing ducts. The gas is on only for backup when the outside temperature is below 20 degrees. We paid $5,000 for this heat pump, including installation. We had 2 furnaces and 2 air conditioners, one set for each floor. We left the second floor as is, with just the furnace and the air conditioner, and replaced the first floor air conditioner with a heat pump. The heat pump is the one to the right of the air conditioner in that picture on the left, and the furnace and air handler are in the picture on the right. Because our house has a large open area between the 2 floors, much of the heat rises to heat the second floor also. We were able to cut our total gas use by over 90% with only the one heat pump. And it's not even a cold climate heat pump. It's just a regular garden variety heat pump. Our plan is to replace the second furnace with a cold climate heat pump when it is needed, but within the next 8 years during the IRA, and phase out the gas entirely. In our northeastern climate region, the IRA requires that the heat pump be a cold climate one to be eligible for the tax credit. So that's important. The next year in 2022, toward the end of the year, our water heater sprang a leak and we replaced it with a Rheem electric heat pump water heater. It was purchased and delivered from Home Depot, and Steve installed that, both the wiring and the plumbing. This one uses 240 volt service, but you can buy a heat pump. You can buy heat pump water heaters that plug into 120 volt outlets. This one cost about $2,000 for a 65-gallon tank. We have plenty of hot water stored, even if the electricity goes out. We applied for and got a rebate of $750 from the state, and this was still before the IRA went into effect. Our gas bill during the spring and summer months is now less than $15 per month, which is just barely above the fixed access charge for the gas, which is $11. The last 3 months, as a matter of fact, we've had gas, our gas bills have been $11 for each of the 3 months, which means we haven't used any gas at all. Finally, this spring, 2024, our washer went on the blitz and sprang a leak. I had decided that when either the washer or dryer failed, we would replace both with an all-electric set, and the heat pump would be, the dryer would be a heat pump. Shopping online, I was attracted to the combo washer heat pump dryer because it used a single 120 volt outlet and would not need any wiring work. During the Memorial Day sale period, we bought our GE Profile from Best Buy for $2 $4,000 installed. You can see it has the footprint of only one washer or dryer, and it's a little taller than counter height, which is what those white cabinets are. Both the washer and condensing dryer drain into the same drain as the old washer, and venting to the outside is not needed at all. We just closed up the hole in the wall. It reheats, the heat pump dryer reheats the air inside it continually while drying and condenses the humidity out of the air and down the drain. This data shows a big selling point of electrifying. For many people, it's cheaper. And for us, it's cheaper. Really depends on the difference between your gas rates and your electric rates. But for us, it's cheaper. And we're in JCP&L and New Jersey Natural Gas. We installed our heat pump the 1st of January 2022. We now have 2 full years of operating with it, summer and winter. That heat pump saved us $13% lower total gas and electric utility cost in 2023, which is an annual savings of over $250. We calculated the difference using the 2021 gas usage, which was before we switched it all. So we had gas for the whole year of 2021, and adjusted for degree days in 2023 and used monthly 2023 gas prices. The outstanding emission savings is a huge 96%. A confounding factor in the cost is that our electricity supplier changed twice during this period. In 2021 and 2, it was a third-party Clean Wind energy supplier that was 10% less than JCP&L. In 2023, we had JCP&L while we were waiting for the community solar, which took a year. And now in 2024, our community solar is 21% less than JCP&L. So the savings in 2024 will be even larger than what you see there, I expect. I just wanted to point out how well our single non-cold climate heat pump performs. On January 17th of this year, during a cold wave, the outside temperature dropped to 15 degrees overnight. The inside temperature was set to 68 degrees, but had fallen to 65 when we woke up. We subsequently turned off the heat pump and turned on the gas furnace to warm up the house for a few hours until the outdoor temperatures rose above 20 degrees. January was the only month in the last year that our gas bill exceeded $15, which is, as I said, is just above the $11 access charge. The gas that month in January was $50 total. So that's the largest bill that we had on gas. Now, moving on to our daughter's house. Some of you have heard us talk about this house also. We've been upgrading and electrifying this house, so I'll bring you up to date on that project. A couple of years ago, they had a 2-room addition built onto their house that they had specified with the contractor that they wanted to be energy efficient. The contractor asked them if they would prefer a heat pump or a gas furnace. They had no idea. So when I overheard this conversation, I said, heat pump, of course. So he installed this little Fujitsu and ducted it into the 2 rooms of the addition. You see, the 2-room addition is just that little square on the front of the house. You can see it in the picture on the left, what that little square is. This is the current house footprint. The new addition appears in the lower right. There was also an earlier addition added about 3 or 4 decades ago to the back of the house. The whole house is built on a slab. They and we were now disappointed that the rest of the house was so drafty. They needed portable electric heaters in places for comfort. So we embarked on a big weatherization project. And this is the project we finally agreed to with the contractor Ciel Power, CIEL. The cornerstone of the project was home performance with Energy Star program that the state runs with the U.S. Department of Energy, which provided a discount of $5,000 if a 25% energy reduction could be attained. In the end, it was much better than the 25%. So the whole project, including insulation, air sealing, and an electric heat pump water heater, cost just over $9,000, which we thought was reasonable. And then, because now finally the IRA is in effect, it was eligible for a $1,200 IRA tax credit in 2023. Here's a picture of the wall insulation that they added. This is inside the garage. Mainly, the wall insulation was blown in from outside by popping a row of siding off. Inside the garage, they drilled holes in the drywall, blew it in, then spackled afterwards. And I think they finished it up a little better than this picture than I took. On the right is the A.O. Smith water heater, which failed twice before they got a working model on the third try. It was either infant mortality or damage in shipping, but it caused us a headache. It's in a closet in the front hall next to the gas furnace, which you can barely see on the left of it. And that gas furnace still heats the main branch of the house. And you see on the right the louvered doors. The house sits on a slab, so there is no basement. And the louvered doors provide for air circulation that the heat pump water heater needs. So, like a refrigerator, it's heating the air on the inside, and the outside air is cool, which is great in the summer, but not so great in the winter. The rear family room, let's get to that, addition had been added onto the duct from the main furnace and was also cold and damp, was always cold and damp. They bought a Mitsubishi mini split heat pump for the family room from Princeton Air. That one cost $7,400, including installation. On the right is the inside air handler above a large abstract picture. We were afraid these projects were going to take so long it would stretch into 2024 and jeopardize getting this 2023 IRA tax credit. Because you can only get the tax, we could always get the tax credit, but only after the project is complete. But the projects were completed in 2023. So they received a $2,000 tax credit for the heat pump when they filed their taxes in April. Finally, in the last week of the year, our daughter was involved in a car accident that didn't injure anyone, thank goodness, but it totaled her car because the airbags deployed. They were able to buy this new Tesla within the period that it was eligible for the $7,500 IRA tax credit. I think it might still be, but at the time they were selling all these Teslas at the end of the year because it was the tax credit was supposed to go away. it was supposed to go away for cars that were not fully manufactured in the US. Their $7,500 tax credit came as a discount at the point of sale, so they got it right away. So they ended up in 2023 with tax credits of this $7,500 plus $1,200 for the weatherization plus $2,000 for the heat pump, totaling $10,700. We were a little disappointed there was not another heat pump credit for the hot water heater, but apparently they allow only one $2,000 heat pump credit. So they didn't get anything more for the heat pump hot water heater. And if their 2023 tax liability was less than this total tax credit, the tax credit can be carried over multiple years if necessary. Steve also wanted me to add that they have 150 amp electrical service, but they still have no problem adding the 240 volt car charger, the heat pumps, and the future stove to it. One last thing. They still have this gas stove that they are reluctant to part with. So for Christmas, I gave them a $100 portable induction hot plate that they could experiment with. They use it and seem to like it. So if you want to try out an induction stove for $100, you can get a one burner one that just plugs into an outlet. So where do we go from here? Let's check with NRDC's all-electric home picture. NRDC is Natural Resources Defense Council. You've probably seen this picture before. I love it. Number one is solar. Neither we nor our daughter has rooftop solar, but we both have community solar. So I think we can check that one. Weatherization is done as much as it is economical, too. 3, we aren't changing windows and doors. It's too expensive, but they are air sealed. And as an aside, when we were living in our Long Beach Island house, we had it re-sided at one point and added insulation and replaced the windows with triple pane. So we have done that, but it is pretty expensive and may not pay off in the long term. We each have one EV, but plan to electrify the second car. 5, heat pump water heater, check. We both check. They still have a gas dryer, so they need to switch that out. 7, we each need to replace the gas stove. 8, smart thermostats, we both have those, check. And 9, we each need to replace those gas furnaces. Best to do all of this by 2032 and get the IRA tax credits. Now, for creating your plan. Steve and I recently took Rewiring America's electrification coach training, as we said, and we're in the process of organizing this network of coaches in New Jersey. We currently have 8 New Jersey coaches and are offering the service to people who would like advice on how to go about electrifying their home. We'll be talking about it more in the coming months, but I'd like to show you a couple of the tools that Rewiring America offers online. First, there is the IRA incentive calculator. There's a link to it that Steve put in the chat, I believe. They asked for some basic information the IRS needs to determine your eligibility. I entered our own home, except that the income, which is listed there, $105,000, is not our income. It is the area median income for 2 people for our part of New Jersey, for our county. And you can look up the area median income, or AMI, for your county and household size at the link that's shown there. HUD, area median income. Moderate income, for your information, is considered to be from 80% of the median to 150%. So moderate is very wide range. Obviously, low income is below 80%, high income is above 150%, and it really depends on the number of people in the household. There's a big difference between 2 people and 4 people. So, for this moderate income household, the results include 9 different project categories that you can get IRA incentives. And some of these categories have multiple projects. If you click on any one of the categories, you'll get a page or more describing what may be included in and what the amounts are. So it goes from battery storage, this is in alphabetical order, clothes dryer, cooking, and all the way down to lawn care. I'll go on to the next page. There's no way in this tool that I could show the results in 1 or 2 screenshots, which I don't think you want to go through 18 screenshots. So I created this chart. This is a list of the possible tax credits, only the tax credits, not the rebates. The Rewiring America results listed both tax credits and rebates that were included in the bill. But the tax credits are well known, and as I described before, they've been available since 2023. And in fact, in 2023, they gave out $8 billion in IRA tax credits for that 1 year. Rewiring America is trying to get a handle on the rebates. The rebates are administered separately by each state, and most of the states have not fully defined their rebate programs yet. So I'm leaving those out for now. New Jersey has applied for its rebate program, and they have defined it apparently, but they haven't, it's not public, it has not been approved yet. And what we think they're going for is to give all or most of the rebates to low income and multifamily housing. But we don't know anything about the amounts. And they won't go into effect until July 2025 in any case. Most of the tax credits, and you can see in this chart, are 30% of the cost, up to some cap. A few have additional constraints, such as for the electric panel upgrade, there must be an accompanying project, at least one, such as a heat pump, an energy efficiency project, or solar that makes you change your, makes you do the electrical panel work. The solar, by the way, is not capped at all, which reflects the fact that solar is desired as much as possible in New Jersey, in the US, and around the world, because we need this as clean energy. And also see the note at the bottom. The state utility programs are coming out in January 2025, and they're expected to be very generous. We don't know what they are yet because they haven't made them public, and probably they haven't been approved yet, but they're supposed to be, we're supposed to know in October, this next month. Another tool that is especially useful for electrification coaching is the Home Electrification Planner. I did use this tool for our own home plan, although we clearly already have a plan. Most people would be starting to plan much earlier than in the process than we are right now. Here's another view. See that picture of our home, the tool supplied, which makes me laugh. Number one, because I can't even see the house through the trees. And number two, I know what the results of this planning tools are, and their first recommendation is solar. I'm pretty sure they didn't look at the picture before they decided that we should get solar. Anyway, I think solar is always the first recommendation because it is so cost effective and it's so needed as clean energy. This is the user input page. I told it all these things that we already have and also said that we still have gas heat. Also note that they only ask about one car, but it's pretty obvious that if you're electrifying your life, you know that your next car is going to be an EV. So this is just what I already described about our house. This page is just a checklist of the pre-work that's recommended for an electrification plan. We would just check the boxes since we've already done both these things. You can click View Project if you want to link to more information about anything that's on here. And this is the plan. Completed projects are at the bottom in yellow, and I told them that in the input, and they're already checked. And for more information on what each project involves, you can view project. Our recommended plan includes rooftop solar, a heat pump, a full EV, and electric lawnmower. That's another funny thing because, as I said, rooftop solar is not going to happen. And we don't have a lawn, so we're not going to have a lawnmower. But we do have an electric leaf blower, so I think we can check that one off. And about the solar, our daughter, I said they have community solar, but they have a rooftop that you could put at least some solar on. And so for their plan, they really should have solar as part of their plan. I clicked through here to view project for the heat pump. So this is more information on the heat pump project. There's lots of information is available in this tool. And if you look at the buttons at the top, you see this page is the introduction. You can get the costs and benefits, the rebates and credits, a project guide, contractors, and learn more. So you can get all that information. Another thing is we said the weatherization is always recommended along with the heat pump to be as efficient as possible and to minimize energy use. So here is the more detail on the heat pump project impacts, such as health impacts, lifespan of the appliance, energy bill, and climate impacts. And the heat pump upfront costs. For us, they estimate $21,000 to $29,000 for the installed heat pump, plus about $25,000 to weatherize if we had not already weatherized. That heat pump cost might be slightly high since we probably need a smaller size than they're computing for just our second floor. We don't need another heat pump for the first floor. Rewiring America is trying to get each state to provide lists of qualified contractors. At this point, the list of contractors are mainly created by the manufacturers who provide the training, their own training on their own equipment, or by trade associations, which also provide training. But these don't tell the whole story, and they don't tell what we need, because they don't look at the contractors and whether they have expertise in heat pumps or whether they're enthusiastic about cold climate heat pumps. It really has to be cold climate heat pump expertise, which is the only thing we can use now for if we want to get the IRA tax credits. And this list of contractors is something that our committee is working on as a committee. The BPU also has a list of contractors, but they don't have any indication about heat pumps either. So we're trying to get the State Board of Public Utilities to create a home electrification advice or coaching program for homeowners administered by experts, and to maintain a list of certified where they would certify cold climate heat pump contractors to recommend for each area of New Jersey. That's something that people always ask about, because when you know you want to have a heat pump, you have to go to a contractor to buy it and get it installed. Also, maybe solar contractors. People ask about solar contractors also. But here's your project list, checklist for all of those projects that I mentioned. And all this is just a list of the things that you need to do to complete your project and to check the box after you've done it. Okay, we've come to the end, but I can't conclude a presentation like this without reminding everyone why we do this. It's to leave a livable world for all the world's children. And these are our particular children, our grandsons. Also, I can't conclude during this election season without emphasizing that it's important to vote up and down the ballot for the party who cares about a healthy environment, like your world depends on it, because it does. Okay. Should I just leave this up in case people have questions about it?
Oh, sure. I was trying to follow the chat. I really don't see any questions, but we maybe did not announce this. But
yeah, we didn't ask people to put questions in.
The one statement was Jim Price said, "I signed up but had not heard back from Rewiring America for fall training classes." Well, our experience is this is something like what happened in spring. You'll eventually get in. I'm not concerned, but maybe not in the class that you want, but they will have subsequent classes.
Also, it's at the last, it's kind of at the last minute, wasn't it? Maybe
it seems like it,
just
yes.
a week or two before they started.
It was, we had to wait a long time. Yes. We had one person who left, and oh, here, a question. I want an induction stove, but what happens to the oven?
Oh, it's the whole stove, including the oven. You can buy an induction cooktop, but if your gas oven is if your stove with its oven is gas, you want to get rid of the whole stove.
Yes, I do. But I would like to know how the heating in the oven part of an induction stove works.
Oh, I think it's electric resistance heating. Howard, you have have an answer?
Yeah, it's electric resistance heat. You can't do induction on a large area like that. Not unless you go to an industrial system.
That's what I was
However,
afraid of, because resistance heating is expensive.
yes, but the route that you go is to get a turbofan oven. They insist on calling them convection, and they're in fact anti-convection ovens. And that works. We have a conventional oven and a induction cooktop, and our electric bill in a typical month is about $4.95. Now we do have solar panels on the roof, so that sure helps.
Thank you.
I think the electric oven in a modern induction stove produces a lot less heat into the house than the older style. We were in a rental place that had such a thing, and very little heat came out of it. It was very well insulated. So, whereas the gas oven has to have a lot of air flowing through it for the combustion gas. So the the modern electric one is substantially more efficient in that way.
I agree with Han. That sounds good. I think that was a thumbs up you gave, wasn't it, Han?
Yes, it was.
Jim,
There's several
Price put
questions.
something in. Oh, I can't see the bottom of the Q&A.
Oh. Okay, where can we get in touch with an electrification coach? The answer is we're creating templates right now to allow people to apply, and we'll be tracking them. But in the meantime, we unofficially adopt people to be clients. So if you want to have an electrification coach, just send email to me or one of us, and we'll put you in the queue. We'll first probably sound you out of what sort of things you're interested in, and then we'll try to find the right expert among us who will be able to take care of you. So that's the answer I would give you, just email. And I put in the chat my email address, so if you'd like to, you can email me.
So I found the message that I'd seen in the chat from Jim Price. He says, Steve, I sent you a PowerPoint presentation that I submitted to our Somerset County Energy Council. What's it about, Jim?
Commercial rooftop heat pumps that go to zero from 6 tons to 60,000 tons. So if you have a commercial building and you want to replace the air conditioning and the furnace on the roof with a heat pump and a furnace, they now have a national challenge like they did in 2021 with residential. They're not calling it a challenge, they're calling it an accelerator. So I'm informing our Energy Council about the accelerator program, and it's not just for manufacturers, it's also for businesses and nonprofits and anybody who's going to run buildings. So in our county, what I want to do, we have a directive in our county at this point that all replacement HVAC equipment must be reviewed according to our decarbonization plan. And I think a couple of people in our state are looking at us to see what we've already written and adopted so they can do the same thing in their town and their counties in the rest of the state. So it's pretty cool. We're excited about it.
Great.
Well, I
Thank
have
you.
found only one manufacturer that currently qualifies for the equipment that makes heat all the way down to 0 degrees with just the heat pump alone. So what I'm trying to do is, we are trying to do also, is get the state program that does direct install to make an exception to say, hey, look, we don't want to just replace furnaces and heat pump rooftop units. I'm sorry, and air conditioning rooftop units. We want to classify the heat pump also as a direct install item, because right now it's not. So that we could not put more air conditioners on the roof, which is silly in my opinion, when we could put heat pumps. And if we really do need fuel switching in January or February, we'd run on heat pump 5 of the 7 heating months of the year. So, I think that's a great opportunity for us.
Okay.
Super. That's good advice for me because I'm coach for a church that has 3 systems, air conditioners and furnaces. They're getting astronomical quotes, like $60,000 for each of the 3. They're 7-ton units. And so this sounds like, yeah, that's what they're getting quotes for. And so this is something for the future. I think I'm going to add into the mix. Maybe if they wait a while.
Well,
they'll
you don't have to
something
wait at all
super-
because I gave you a bid specification in there also,
Okay,
which would specify the only brand that currently goes to 0 on the heat pump. It's called Aeon. And I'm not trying to push them. They're the only ones that are doing it. So it's not like I'm saying, oh, I want to use this brand over Trane, because Trane doesn't have anything. So, but this accelerator goes until 2027. So the original heat pump challenge that the government did started in 2021 and ended in 2024 when they asked manufacturers to step up and do and make the equipment. And some people pasted their name on other people's equipment, and some people like Rheem and who's the other one, Carrier, actually went out and developed their own equipment. Trane stuck their label on Mitsubishi equipment. So because they already had a partnership, so they just kind of took a short route out. But there was some equipment that's developed. And what I'm doing right now is I'm making a list of all of that equipment, because when I looked at the IRA and for what qualifies, there are actually some pieces of equipment in Mitsubishi which are very high end H2O pieces of heat pump equipment that do not qualify for the IRA because of the HSPF. So on larger size jobs, we're going to have to use perhaps Bosch or Rheem, because they have equipment that's up to 5 tons that does qualify. So it's a jagged edge, narrow chasm we have to walk through when we go out and we actually recommend equipment right now, if we want to be within that qualification to get that IRA rebate, which
Okay.
I find
we should-
challenging.
thank you.
We should get back to homes now.
Okay, one question, the 2 questions concern heat pumps for water heating. The question was, would a heat pump just for a water heater require a cold water heat pump? No, not really. They work in California, they work outdoors. Like that's them. In our basements, it's if you have water that's like 40, 45 degrees, I think, incoming in that ballpark, the heat pump water heater works just fine as it is. So in your basement, like my basement, doesn't really get below 60 degrees.
You
Maybe a
have a
little
heat
bit
pump
less.
in the basement?
Yes, I have a heat pump water heater.
Okay.
Yeah, and it works very well for me. The basement is unheated.
I have a customer I have to install a water heater this week coming up, and I want him to go heat pump. And he's looking at the cost of operation because he's afraid the resistance heat is going to be used most of the time, and it's going to send his electric bill up. So I'm trying to find a way to do a comparison between gas and heat pump in our climate zone, because typically we don't have a lot of heat pump experience in our climate zone for water heaters. So do you know where I can get that data?
I've seen Arcadia reports that include heat pump water heaters.
Do they compare it to a gas atmospherically drafted or?
They have combined, but maybe you remember, combined heat pumps for heating, space heating and for water heating together. So that's not what you want. Every water heater will have a spec on the outside that says what its equivalent coefficient of performance is. And then you can compare that to gas if you're worried about cost. At a couple about three, I think costs of electric and gas are about the same. Typically, water heaters are much higher than 3.
Steve,
but
we
I have to
do
put in
have a
our
bunch
bill.
of other questions.
Oh, yeah. The other,
The next one, I need to go on and let some other people have a
Yes.
chance. Tom Rule just asked, I installed an induction stove today and had to upgrade my electrical wiring. Would the stove and the electrical wiring qualify for an IRA credit? I believe it would not, because the accompanying project needs to be certain categories of IRS code, which are 25C and 25D, I think, or solar. And I don't think the stove qualifies for an IRA credit at all, actually.
I have information that I hopefully came up. Is that true? Can you see this table? You're now screen sharing.
Well, Steve, I had it in the table that I showed.
Oh, okay. You already, so I'm just repeating it. The answer is JCP&L provides a rebate for induction of $150.
Oh,
And
yeah, I was just answering for IRA because that was
Yeah.
what the question was.
yeah, but
That it
there's
may be different for the state utility programs.
the state utility in 2025 and beyond will be up to $150. So I'm assuming it's $150 again for both ESCG and JCP&L. There's no IRA state, or I'm sorry, federal tax credit, but there will be hopefully for low-income families when it's effective in July 2025, the state IRA rebates. And there it says it might be up to $840. But in both cases, in all these cases, I don't think the wiring is included. The wiring is included for like branch circuits and feeders, which doesn't sound like the wiring directly to an appliance.
Okay.
Well, that's my answer. Sorry.
The
I'll stop
next
sharing.
comment is Karen Schroeder says, I'm partway through my electrification project, interested in working with a coach. Well, Karen, put your email in the chat or else send an email to stevemiller@comcast.net.
Okay. You'll find my email address in the chat.
Okay. And someone already asked that.
There was a
Pat,
question of,
Pat,
did you
get to Gerald's question? Would a heat pump just for a water heater require a cold water heat pump? I wasn't sure we answered that.
in New Jersey, if you throw it into your basement, well, first of all, if your utility room is in the living area, like next to the furnace, it's going to be warm in that room, and that's no problem. If it's in the basement, typically basements are warm enough. So, and the water, the requirement is that the water inflow that comes from underground from the city water main has to be above a certain temperature, something like 45 degrees.
Actually, Steve, I should have
Yes.
phrased my question better. Would a heat pump for a water heater be eligible for an IRA discount?
It is. And a heat pump water heater is normally a $2,000 or up to a $2,000 tax credit.
So tax
if,
credit, yes.
if it's by itself.
Okay, thank you both.
You just can't, you can't do two heat pumps in the same year, apparently.
Steve, I have one question.
Yes,
Or no, Pat, I think you showed us that a washer dryer combo, right? It's just one piece?
yes,
Is it
it
one
is.
piece?
Yes.
They operate beautifully.
Yeah.
We
The
love
way
it.
I sort of throw stuff in and push a button and then I disappear. And a few hours later, I say, "Oh, gee, I had some," and it's all dry. Everything's fine.
It takes about 2 hours for a normal size load to wash and dry. So you have to wait for the whole thing. But once you get used to that, it's great.
2 hours of electricity. I don't know how much bill you will have. I don't have solar panels or nothing.
Well, according to the Energy Star tag that's on it, you can do 6 loads a week and it will cost you $19 a year
That's it.
in
Yes,
electricity.
And it plugs what we have plugs in directly into 120 volt shared outlet. I think the consumption is something less than 10 amps maximum.
It's very efficient.
it's
It's
very
very
efficient,
efficient
yes.
because
Great.
what it's doing, it's continually heating the air that's inside. And so the air that's inside is already warm. So there's hardly any heat that has to go into it.
Oh, great. Okay, I will look into it. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I will. I'll get back. I mean, I'll contact you. I have so many questions, but I don't want to bore everybody else.
Okay, we'd be happy to help.
Thank you.
There was one question about geothermal heating. It says geothermal heating wasn't really mentioned during the presentation. Is that because it's not financially advantageous compared to air source heat pump? And Howard Stein replied, the initial cost of a geothermal heat pump is rather high given the multiple wells that need to be drilled. And that's really true. So it's that well drilling that you can't get down in cost. It's like a fixed cost and no competition to drive it lower. And so that's expensive. But geothermal is very, very efficient.
Yeah. Somebody asked that question about, I think Shoshana asked about this washer dryer. Can you still do the outside drying, looks like.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. And the answer is yes. There's you can set to have a timer go off, a signal at the end of the wash, and then it gives you a certain amount of time that you can unlock it and pull out whatever you want to pull out and
Great.
hang them up.
Great.
So I do that with my bathing suits and underwear and things like that.
Great. I wrote down.
No, Betsy Langendorfer said she wrote an article about heat pump washers and dryers. So if you'd like to get the real scoop here, look at chat on
Oh
washers
yeah,
and
that's a
dryers.
good idea.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
And I got some of my information from Steve and Pat, but there's a lot of other information there.
Yeah,
and
we're only one of several examples,
right.
but we're very happy with it.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Just unmute yourself if you do have a question.
I don't have
like
a question. I have an answer for Marty, but I don't know how to send him an email. I tried attaching a document in the chat, but when I hit file, it doesn't really do anything. How can I get him a document? Should I send it to you, Steve, and then you'll send it to Marty, or?
yeah, that'll work.
I can send you my email address, Jim. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'm Jim@comfortablehomes.com.
Okay, great. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, it's on the truck.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's a nice backdrop, Jim.
So, We actually have new trucks. That's an old truck. Our new
Oh.
trucks are green.
Oh, good. Good color.
Makes
And I
sense.
actually have a new domain called Change My Climate I just bought. I can't even
Super.
believe I got it. I'm so lucky. And the new trucks are gonna have a polar bear on the side with his hands reached out. And it's gonna, the new name of the company is gonna be Change My Climate. So I'm pretty excited about that, actually.
That's great. That's a great name.
Yeah.
Living the life.
I wanted to close with a reminder that we're going to be looking for 1 or 2 volunteers for the October 17th webinar on building electrification. And I expect this will be very inspiring for you. People that are asking us now to coach, maybe you can work with us and maybe be on next month's program. If you don't, but you're not going to need to supply your last name or address. It can be just your first name in the program, but we would like to have you involved. What it means for you is that in the meantime, we'll have a couple of phone calls to help clarify where you wish to go with electrification. And then we're also going to help steer you through the superb online planning tools of Rewiring America. And the Rewiring America link is in the chat. And it will be available to interpret the results, discuss alternatives, and recommendations for your house. And then on October 17th, we electrification coaches will help you as needed to guide a discussion of your electrification ideas and goals and provide our recommendations. And this will become a case study of your home that will be helpful for others to give them ideas for their future electrification projects. So if this sounds interesting, I encourage you to stay in chat. I'm in, or need more information, or just send directly email to me, stevemiller@comcast.net, that you'll find in the chat.
Steve, I have one more question.
Sure.
In between this meeting, I had somebody came, so I had to step here. But so I missed that coach part. So you have the who are these people, and do you have their emails? So if you are not available, you and Pat are not available, we can contact them.
Yeah. So we have like a central clearinghouse that we're setting up. So it'll be one form, and any one of us can do this. To fill out that form and get basic information about what's needed. And then we'll try to assign it to somebody who's the most expert of our group of 8.
Okay.
And we hope that we'll have some more coaches soon.
Yeah, we
If you're
should.
interested, it really doesn't take a whole lot of time to do this. It's 4 weeks with one lecture a week, 1 hour lecture a week, plus a 1 hour kind of workshop type, and a little homework. And and then you're supposed to coach someone at the end. And that's all there is to it.
I know, but Pat or Steve, many people have understanding of the house, and they are kind of engineering mind. If you don't have that kind of mind, how would you, just by training you will learn all these things?
Well,
you will just
it's really for all levels. They say there are different types of expertise, and it's good to have people who are at least knowledgeable of the procedure and who can be enthusiastic about reaching out to others.
Yeah, that I do. I mean, I always preach about this thing, but if somebody asks me technical question, it's hard. If they ask how to develop drug, I can answer them, but not this.
It depends what kind of drug it is.
Yeah. We're now at 8:25, and
Okay.
People can drop off if they want, or we can continue chat. If you stay on, we'll chat
Thank
with
you.
you as well. Thank you all for joining us, and the people that wanted help for coaching, be sure to email so we get you in our queue and describe what you want, and we'll sign you up. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
I am
Thanks,
shutting off
bye.
recording.
Uh,